Hi guys, it is Aoife from Fred We Did Out Laughing and I'm here with my favourite books of the year. So I did do my favourite books of the year so far halfway through the year, 6 months ago, so I will link that above. A lot of those books are still books I really loved. They're still my favourite books of the year, but I don't want to go through all of them again because, as I said, I already have a video going through all of them. I've read a lot of books this year, so it's very hard for me to narrow those books down sometimes to a list of 10 or a list of 15 or whatever it is. So those books are still some of my favourites of the year, but this list is kind of my favourites of the year for the second half of the year. So the ones that still stand, because I did read them throughout the year, was the Seven Realms series by Cinda Chima, which I do have a full series review on, but I have read them throughout the year from January to November. So the two books I did read the second half of the year are on my favourite books of the year as well. I loved every single one of these books. They were all my favourite books, so I definitely recommend them. Another book series I would like to put in here is The Grey Coast by Sebastian de Castell. I'm not sure if I put the books I did read of that on my other list, but again, every single one of those books have been one of my favourites, so I absolutely adore those ones as well. They are just so good. The books that's been one of my favourites of the year and has led me to a new favourite author is The Lonely Hearts Hotel by Heather O'Neill. This book was just absolutely fabulous. I just love the writing, the magical grittiness of the writing, the way Heather O'Neill shapes her characters and the way they are so complex but beautiful and a little bit whimsical. I just loved the writing in this so much. I loved the characters, I loved their story, even though it was very sad at times. I have since gone on to read more by Heather O'Neill, and I know I just really love her writing. I just love everything she does with her writing and what she does with her characters, so she is definitely up there for my favourite of the year. Another book here is one that I actually listened to on audiobook, and that was Codename Verity by Wein, one of my favourite audiobooks of the year. This one was just so good. I'd heard a lot about this for a very long time, and I just hadn't picked it up, so when I saw it on audiobook I decided to give it a go, and I'm really glad I decided to listen to it on audiobook because it just gave it another dynamic, I think, and just really sucked me in. I love World War II stories. I love that this was focused around women in World War II, and just these tough women who had to go through these terrible circumstances. Beautiful tale of female friendship, a really intriguing World War II story, and a tale of bravery. It was absolutely amazing. I loved it. Another book that has to come up here is Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. This is the fourth book in the Lara Jean series. Third book in the Lara Jean trilogy, and I just love this one. This one was everything I wanted. Peter is like one of my top book crushes of all time, and I love the fact that in this book Lara Jean and Peter really had to figure out their relationship even more. They were going to college, they were going to be separated possibly, and they really had to figure out like what they were prepared to sacrifice and what they weren't prepared to sacrifice basically for the next few years of their future. And I feel like that's a very realistic thing that a lot of couples probably have to go through, but I just really liked how it was done in this book, and I just love everything about the relationship. This book is just so sickly sweet. I just really loved it. It was just so good. These books just always give me like the fuzzies inside. They always leave me smiling, and I adore them. One of the next books I want to talk about is Fully Functioning Human Almost by Melanie Murphy. It's the only non-fiction on this list, but this one was one that I wasn't 100% sure going in. I knew I really liked Melanie Murphy. I was really hoping I would like her book because normally I'm not a big fan of YouTuber books, but this one just spoke to me on so many levels. I just really resonated with everything that Melanie Murphy talked about, when it was kind of like body confidence, just like growing up in Ireland, love and relationship stuff. Like there was just so much in it that I just felt was like so great for like a 20-something to read, because I feel like a lot of YouTuber books are sometimes aimed at a very younger audience, in their teenage years, and while I appreciate that, I think that's great for teenage girls and teenage boys to have growing up now. It leaves me feeling sometimes a little bit wanting, being like, yeah, but where's like the book for me? And this was the book for me. This was the book I've been waiting for, and I just absolutely adored it. And if anyone does like Melanie Murphy or is wanting that kind of book for a 20-something, and you know they think that they would resonate with this one, I would 100% say pick it up, because this one was just absolutely wonderful. One of my next favourites of the year is Fairest Kingdom by Phillips. This is one that's had like mixed reviews, but for me, one of the reasons why it's my top favourites of the year is because just my whole experience of reading it, and it was because this book just left me so terrified. This is about a thriller. It is about something that happens to a woman and her son while they are in the zoo one evening, and it's just this very, very fast-paced, thrilling story that just leaves your heart in your mouth the entire time you're reading it. And I just could not. I think I stayed up like till like the early hours of the morning reading this, because I started it and I could not put it down until I finished. Like, I was like, I knew I would be having all sorts of nightmares if I didn't finish it and didn't figure out what would happen, because it just left my heart racing, and like I was just, I felt like I was there with the characters, and this is what I want my thrillers to be. This is what I want to feel while I'm reading my thrillers. They don't have to be the best written things in the world, but if they give me that feeling of being there with the characters and feeling their fear and feeling that anxiety, that is what I want. And I know, again, that really sounds like a really weird thing to say, but that is what I want with my thrillers. I want to be thrilled, I want to be scared, and this one did it perfectly. Another favourite of the year is no surprise probably anyone that watches my channel, and that is The Time of Dread by John Gwynne, which is John Gwynne's new book from his new series, which is actually out the end of this week as well. I was very lucky to get an early copy of it for review, and I love John Gwynne. I love John Gwynne's writing. I love John Gwynne's world, and this is set in the same world as the Faithful and the Fallen series, and a lot of characters are mentioned. Some of the characters crop up again, which is excellent. I loved that. I just loved it. This just made me want to reread the Faithful and the Fallen series, which I am going to do because I do have my own copies of the book now, and then read this one again before the next book comes out, probably next year. So yeah, I just love this book. Fantastic high fantasy. If you like high fantasy, please read The Faithful and the Fallen. I would say you should read the Faithful and the Fallen series before reading this book, but it was just excellent and I absolutely loved it. Next book is The Crayons Game by Evelyn Skye. This is mostly up there because I didn't really expect to like it as much, but again, this is one that I think is also on my list because of my reading experience with it, and it is my reading experience with audiobook, because I feel like the audiobook of this was just excellent. The accents and the narrative was just so good on audiobook that I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked the magic in this. I really just loved the visuals. Like, some of the visual magic that is in this is just so beautiful. I just wanted to see it come to life. I have described this one as kind of like Anastasia meets the Night Circus, and that's what I think it is. It's basically the Night Circus set in Russia almost, and it is just beautiful. It's just really, really good, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then the last book I want to talk about is one I literally just read a couple of days ago, and that is The Krill Prince by Holly Black, which is the most fantastic, wickedly fey story I've read in a very, very long time. This is full of bad fairies, dark fairies, fairies that thirst for blood, fairies you cannot trust. It is full of chemistry and sexual attraction and killing and murder, and it just blew my mind, and I just absolutely loved it, and I already can't wait for the next book, and it's going to be so long till I get the next book. So yeah, this is just absolutely brilliant. If anyone has been thinking about reading this one, I would 100% say to pick it up because it was so good. So that is all my favourite books of the second half of the year. I have my favourite books from the first half of the year linked up above if you want to check them out. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again next time.